Hello, guys. It's me, Butterfly Spirit 314. So, today, guys, what I wanted to do is I wanted to share some good news with you guys. Today, guys, I was able to completely melt away my anger out of nowhere. And I only did this one other time. So, this is my second time ever doing this. And I'm very proud of myself. And I wanted to share this with you guys because, it's not easy to pinpoint the reason that you're mad or why you're angry. And it can be hard to pinpoint that because, like, for a lot of us, like, when we get angry, we may not know that direct source of what makes us angry, because there can be a lot of things that could have pissed us off in a day. And we may not know, like, that one thing that is, feeding our anger and where our anger is really coming from. And I think where I became aware of this is when I was reading my Dance of Anger book, which I finished, as many of you guys know who are subscribed to my channel. And, I learned that, from the book that it can be hard for people to pinpoint their anger because a lot of times when people are angry, a lot of times they can, they can think that their anger is coming from one thing that's completely unrelated to the root cause of why they're angry. Okay. And this is why sometimes people, when they have arguments with someone else, they may not know, they may think that someone else is causing their anger, but really it's not that other person. Sometimes it's other things that are causing their anger. And it might take a person a while to figure it out. And sometimes a person, it could take them days to figure out why they're even angry. So for me today, it was a accomplishment because I was able to pinpoint the very root cause of why I was angry. And once I pinpointed the reason I was angry, then my anger, it just disappeared. Like, I literally felt it disappear. It's like I felt the anger emotion just like go away. It's like it melted away from me or something like that. I really felt it. And I was surprised and I was like, oh my gosh, I did it again. So you guys may be wondering what caused me to be angry. Well, let's talk about what annoyances happened to me today. So one thing is that I left my work laptop at home. Normally, I'm pretty good about taking my laptop with me to work. But this particular morning, I left my laptop at home. And I did not realize this until I got all the way to work. And by the time I realized that, had been at work for 20 minutes. And then I realized my laptop wasn't there. And I was like, oh, shoot, is at home. So I had to go tell my team lead. I was like, hey, I left my laptop at home. She was like, oh, okay. She was like, oh, you can go get it. I was like, all right. Now, on top of that, it's been raining all day. Okay. And because it's been raining all day, like, when it comes to raining, it can be stressful to me to, like, drive through the rain because you don't have very much traction when it comes to rain. And there are people who drive like they are crazy when it rains. Like, people will be stopping out of nowhere or going like super duper whooper slow. And, like, people just don't know how to drive. So that was something. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night as well because I left my heat up too high. So that was another thing. And so that caused me to not get as good a sleep as I should have. And I didn't realize until this morning. And also my ID. I forgot my ID a couple of times at work because I need my ID to get in and out of certain places at work. And I forgot my ID, but luckily somebody was nice enough to basically badge me in, essentially, so I wasn't left standing outside the door. So it was a pretty crazy day. Plus, I had to manage emails at my job, and managing those emails, like, it was a lot because people were asking for a lot of stuff. So just like left, right, like there is just so much going on. Plus, there's a coworker of mine. She's moving on to another team and stuff. And, our team is having to adjust to that. They're looking for somebody else to replace her. And it was busy. Okay. It was really busy. There was a lot of fires to put out at work. Just like things were just going. And it didn't help much that I left my laptop at home. It really didn't. So I noticed that when I was working and stuff, that I really didn't feel like I was getting a chance to really take time to have some downtime, because normally I get to have downtime, and I get to kind of like chill a little bit on the job. But since my coworker is moving on to another team, that makes it more stressful for us, because that means that, we have to, we don't have the extra person. But that's not the reason. She's not the reason that I was angry. The reason I was angry was because I wasn't getting a chance to do some of the things in my downtime. I had to sacrifice my downtime where I can chill out at normally to, cover extra work. And I didn't like the fact that I wasn't able to get any reading in like I wanted to, like I would normally be able to do, and take notes on stuff that I like to take notes on and stuff. And I didn't like that. And when I recognized that I wasn't doing things for myself, like getting a chance to read as much as I normally do or take notes like I normally do in my downtime at work, once I pinpointed that cause and I realized that I was angry with myself because I was putting a lot more of my attention on covering work than I was on getting a chance to do things for myself, then my anger, I felt it melt away. I felt it go away. And I was just like just the understanding, like the realization of why I was angry and I found the root cause was amazing. Like, and it really takes time to get to a place like this. And like I said, this is only my second time doing this, you know, but I managed to do it. Another thing I worked on doing today is that normally I'd want to like jump in and take over and like help, like spread myself too thin on the job. But you know what I did today? What I did is that I just focused on like basically doing my work. One of my coworkers did have to, of course, take a break. So I left me and another coworker doing work and stuff. But I focused on my work and I stopped being so hyper focused on the other coworker that I felt should be doing work in a particular way. I took my focus off of him and I put my focus on myself. And I was like, okay, I got to focus on what I'm doing. Let me keep this together. Let me work on my thing first. You know, and I was able to do it. I was able to help another one of my coworkers out and stuff while she was on break and stuff. But first, I took care of my work first, which is good because it means that at least as far as my work performance is concerned, I'm looking good there. The only thing I was, not looking good as is I was angry with myself because I wasn't able to make progress, with myself in terms of like, doing as much reading as I normally would like to do in my downtime and things. But I think just recognizing that, guys, is a big step for me. And um, it takes time. I mean, you have to be, mindful of, be present in the moment. And it can take time to get there. I've been working on mindfulness um, I was working on mindfulness. It took me some months, to kind of become mindful about, what's going on around me and stuff. But, you know, it has become something where I can, kind of tap into that, into being mindful of what's going on around me, to the point that, when I talk to people now, Usually, like what I used to do is like I used to be that person who I would talk to people and I wouldn't be listening to them. But of course, I've been like working on listening to people to the point now that when I talk to people, I'm actually learning things about them. I'm learning things about what people like and what they, don't like. One of my coworkers I learned today, she's on another team, but I learned that she doesn't like chili cheese Fritos. Those are not her favorite. That's why she has them as like, is giving them out to people. And I learned that about her, you know. I learned, for another one of my coworkers, I learned that one of my coworkers in particular, like, she, doesn't want to talk about, the election and the politics and stuff. And so because I heard her say that and I was willing to accept that, then like, I've kind of come away with being like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't like to talk about the election. Okay, let me not talk about that. But there's other things we can talk about. And so, you know, I'm getting better with how I'm doing things. And I have to say I'm proud of myself because, you know, not many people listen. Like they really don't. I had a I had an experience like I think it was on I believe it was Thursday of last week, and there were two of my coworkers, and they were working on this same email, and they were both talking at each other but not really listening to each other, and so they weren't getting what each other was saying. And so I was just kind of, normally that situation would make me very anxious. And normally I want to distance myself because they've had some tensions in the past where they've kind of argued with each other and stuff. And normally it would start off where they're like talking at each other. And, last Thursday, what I did was, is that instead of me like running away from that tense moment, I just became aware of the fact that, hey, this makes me feel anxious that these two people are doing this, you know, and they're talking at each other and they're not listening to each other. And I'm like, well, no wonder it's hard for them to work together on stuff because they're talking at each other instead of trying to understand each other. And so, like, just me observing, people in terms of like conflict. It's interesting because I get to see how people react to anger. I was just at a Quick Trip, a gas station, and I saw an interaction between a cashier and this guy that was a customer. And the guy, I guess he was buying some sort of cigarettes or something, or cigarellos or something like that, I guess. And the guy had got angry at the cashier because he wanted a certain type of, I guess, cigarella or something like that. And he liked this particular brand and stuff. And the cashier was telling him, hey, okay, you want these type of cigarellos? And he was like, yeah. And he had cash. Now, at first, the guy wanted me to add his cigarellos to to the oil that I was buying for my car. And I just looked at him like, are you serious? And I didn't say anything to him. And so I guess he got the message from me that I wasn't gonna add his stuff to my order. you know so basically, what I ended up doing, I would just watch, and the same guy who wanted me to put his stuff on my order, um, he ended up asking the cashier for the cigarellos, and the cashier was telling him, well, hold up, I'm trying to finish up with somebody real quick, and things, and then I can get to you. And so she got the cigarellos for him, the specific ones he wanted. He wanted 2 packs of them or something. And so then the guy said to her, you said that with attitude. And she was like, no, I didn't say that with attitude. She's like, I let you know that I'm trying to finish up with somebody else right now. Then I can go ahead and get to you and stuff. And turns out the guy was over here so pissed off and mad that he was short on the money for the cigarillos that he was trying to buy. And so, you know, I guess he didn't like how she pointed it out that he was short on the money. And she was about to just let him, she was about to just let him go without having to pay the extra 23 cents that he needed to pay. But instead, he ended up calling her a bitch for no reason, and what she had told him is when she noticed that he was getting, he was angry and stuff or whatever and stuff, she told him, she's like, sir, calm down. Let me go ahead and finish up with these people. Calm down. I can get you checked out and everything. But he didn't like that. So he just called her a bitch and stuff like that. And I really didn't think that was appropriate for him to do that. Because, the thing is that he was angry, and I'm like, well, if she's trying to help you out and she knows you're short on the money and she's still trying to let you get your items and stuff, but then he's going to curse at her for no reason and just be mad, it sounds to me like the guy has some sort of addiction, to the cigarillos, and maybe he needs to kind of work on, not having those things and maybe getting a handle on his anger instead of trying to direct it at somebody else, because when I listened to her, she didn't get loud. She didn't talk, in a mean way to him. She kept the same tone. She was nice. She was professional to him and everything. But this guy went and snapped and acted crazy. And so, at one point she told him, after he called her a bitch, then she told him, she said, well, right back at you, because, she didn't like the tone. Like, she didn't like that he called her a bitch out of nowhere. And in my opinion, he had no right to call her that. There are some people who will, they'll say curse words when they're angry. I know I've said curse words to people when I'm angry, and it's not a good habit to have. What I've, kind of learned to do now is, if I'm angry, refrain from cursing, because it's not really that, necessary to do that. And the cashier was trying to help him out, and he was just walking out the door and saying, well, I don't got to pay the 23 cents, and walked out the door. And when I saw him, he was getting in the car with somebody, and whoever it was he was getting in the car with, this guy didn't even have his own car. He was riding with somebody else. And I'm like, well, dude, you're so lucky to have somebody to give you a ride to a gas station. At least you got somebody who cares about you and stuff like that. But you ever treating other people with disrespect, that's not cool. I feel like I think the guy, he really could have calmed down. But, I think this guy was just directing his anger at the cashier, when in reality, he was angry about something else. But he didn't want to, he didn't think to try to figure out why he was angry. He just was willing to just, vent his anger to people. And one thing I learned about venting anger, when you vent anger, of course, this is from my Dance of Anger book. When you vent anger, you're not doing anything but adding to the problem. And you're not allowing, you're not getting to any kind of solution when you vent anger. When you vent anger, people just look at you like you're crazy, and they look at you like they don't need to take you seriously or value what you have to say, And so, guys, like, even though I'm done with the Dance of Anger, I'm still going to be taking notes on the book. This past weekend, I did review chapter 1 of my notes on the Dance of Anger book. So I did do that. And, guys, I'm just like becoming aware, like just being observant of like how other people manage their anger, and like kind of comparing that to how I manage mine. And, like I'm getting better with managing it. And like, this isn't an overnight process. This isn't like an instant thing. It takes time to get to where I am. But you guys can get there too, should you decide to do that. So I wanted to share the good news with you guys about how I was able to get my anger to disappear for the second time. Thank you for listening to me tonight. And thank you for listening. And I know you can't see anything, guys, because I have my phone down, but thank you for tuning into this video. Thank you. Bye bye.